Maybe you're ready for your dose of reality.
That was a little better than that. I enjoyed the ending. Piper's Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dr. Quack podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Quack.
Must you be so loud?
And
I'm the important one, Mr. Mayhem, and this night terror-inducing nightmare fuel is being brought to you today by our unofficial sponsor, NOS Energy Drink. Because if I hear one more Roddy Piper, the kids love it! I'm going to jump out the window.
You didn't like Rowdy Piper?
No!
Oh, wow. We're going to get into this. By the way, we're doing Survivor Series 1990.
Sorry, I still don't have my spray. I think the Packers lost it, but if there's anything that needed to be sprayed, it's this thing.
Oh, it's not that bad. We're going to get into it here on November 22nd, 1990 at the Hartford Civic Center.
Yeah, the Hartford, Connecticut is right outside of Stamford, which is where the WWE, WWF headquarters are. So this was basically a home show for them. You're going to see another McMahon on this show here in a little bit. We'll talk about him here in a little bit.
Oh, we will. And on commentary, we had Gorilla Monsoon and your buddy, Rowdy Piper.
Rowdy Piper reminded me of bad 1950s commentary. In fact, this whole show was like bad 1950s wrestling. All of them were main event matches, and all of them made absolutely no sense. These things were dumb. And Roddy Piper was king of dumb.
Well, you can see how happy he is about this show. I was, but we're going to get into it because we had interviewers. We had me, Gene Okerlund, and Sean Mooney.
And the biggest egg of all, the Survivor Series egg, for those of you that forgot that thing existed, this is when it hatched.
Oh, yes. Yeah, we will get into that there. And we got the ring announcer. I'm sorry, got me all flustered here with that. Ring announcer, we had Howard Finkel.
Yeah, to explain what was going on at this time, Howard Finkel did a great job. There's nothing bad to say about him. This took place in November of 1990. Desert Storm, for those of you that read about it in 7th grade history class, started in August of 1990. So we're only a few months into Desert Shield. Yep. It's not even Desert Storm yet. It's still just Desert Shield. And that was the big patriotism theme going on here throughout the night. I didn't mind that. So there's one. I got one for you.
There you go. And referees, you had Earl Hebner, Mike Chioda, Joey Morella, Danny Davis, and Shane Stevens.
Shane Stevens, a.k.a. Shane McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
They also missed one. We also had Jack Doan on there.
We did have Jack Doan. Yes, I do remember Jack Doan.
Young Jack Doan with black hair before he got his little crew cut.
Oh, my God.
And he was pretty new at this time. They gave him the first match. Chioda was there in the first match. Doan was in the third match. And the referees did a good job. Shane McMahon never once did anything inside the ring. He spent every match on the outside. He was the outside referee.
Yes, he was. And now we're going to move into the opening match here. And this is what's great because this show had 6 matches. Not 4. It had 6 matches, and they were shorter.
And they only had 4 people in there, so there was less botches.
There was.
That's not always a good thing.
He is real happy today. Because today we have the Warriors, the Ultimate Warrior, Hawk, Animal, and the Texas Tornado taking on the Perfect Team. Mr. Perfect, Axe, Smash, and Demolition Crush. Not Strawberry Crush, not Grape Crush, Demolition Crush.
Yeah, this is his first time appearing. I watched him growing up in the Pacific Northwest when he was just Bryan Adams. Now, before we even get into this match, I'm going to explain to you in a little more substantive way why Roddy Piper was so annoying. You remember when Larry Zbyszko used to sit on the commentary for WCW and the New World Order was out there, and he thought he was clever calling him the New World Odor. This was Roddy Piper the whole night. He called it Booby Heenan instead of Bobby Heenan. We got that kind of garbage all night. He actually said, Mr. Fuji, wax on, wax off.
But it was Boomsy.
No. Roddy Piper was the annoying 13-year-old child that wrote Hulk Hogan's No Hold Barred movie. That's what we got all night. We got annoying little quips that he thought were funny because he was the only person laughing.
I was laughing with him. I thought it was funny.
See Exhibit A.
But anyways, yeah, we got that great match here. I love this match. I got to tell you, I love this for an opener. I love the fact that we're putting a story with Demolition and the Road Warriors there, but Legion of Doom. But, of course, that match, that happened?
Sort of.
Sort of, exactly. It didn't happen the way it's planned.
Well, this was actually my second highest match of the night. I ranked this thing 2.5 stars. Now, Axe went out first. Part of this was because they brought in Crush basically because Axe had a lot of health problems going on. He just suffered a shellfish allergy, and he was starting to really have some troubles performing in the ring. So he was the first eliminated. Then Smash, Crush, Hawk, and Road Warrior Animal all eliminated themselves at the same time because all of a sudden they had remembered that they were supposed to be in a blood feud and just ran in the ring and started fighting. So they all got disqualified. And then Kerry Von Erich got eliminated. He got to do the claw. He didn't look horrible at this time. I think he was sober at this time.
Yes.
Because come 1991, when he had to take on the Bounty, by that time he was so coked up he could barely move. But at this time he actually looked good, looked competent, cut a halfway decent promo in the back. But Kerry Von Erich went out third. And then Mr. Perfect got eliminated, which left the Ultimate Warrior as the first survivor going into the match at the end of the show.
The grand finale.
Now, Ultimate Warrior was gonzo. He did what are called double ducks. I've done this as a kayfabe word the day before. He had 3 double ducks. 3! He was... Now, I will give Warrior some credit. Bobby Heenan took a butt whoop in this match, and he's already had some neck problems and all this kind of stuff. Ultimate Warrior did a great job of taking care of Bobby Heenan. He was bouncing all over the place. He may not have taken care of some other people, but Bobby Heenan, he took care of. So great job, Warrior. Great job for taking care of somebody who was injured. Did a great job with that. This match kind of went too fast, though, on the eliminations. The whole thing was to set up Mr. Perfect and the Warrior. There was talk of maybe Mr. Perfect was going to be the transitional champion to get it back to Hulk Hogan. It ended up not being that way. We know that's the case. But Mr. Perfect was one of the people they were talking about. And this was kind of judged to see if the crowd was into that or not. And the crowd, unfortunately, didn't buy it.
No, they didn't. I went 2.5 with you. It was a decent opener, I thought. I enjoyed the match itself. You know, one of the few Warrior matches I can actually say I actually enjoyed very much.
Yeah, WrestleMania 6, which happened 6 months before.
Yeah.
That was April 1st, and we're in November. So, yeah, 6 months, 7 months.
Yep, around that time. But, yeah, moving along here, we had the $1 Million Team. Ted DiBiase, The Undertaker making his debut, the Honky Tonk Man, and Greg Valentine, with Virgil, Brother Love, and Jimmy Hart. Let me make sure I get that out there. Taking on the Dream Team, Dusty Rhodes, Coco Beware, Bret Hart, and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Yep, and we get Dave Hebner inside, or Earl Hebner, and Shane, as we said, on the outside. Now, there's a lot of history in this match. As he said, Undertaker made his debut here in 1990. Not managed by Paul Bearer, Brother Love.
I love you!
Brother Love. Who, give it up to Bruce Pritchard, who's been executive vice president there for a very long time. When the show needs something, he is willing to do it and take it full force. Most people remember a short blip on the radar known as Brother Love.
Remember when he wore that kilt and he was like, but, Brother Piper!
Yep, there's also 2 more historical things we want to add into the Undertaker's list of first. The first person he ever stood in the ring with, Bret Hart. The first person he ever tagged in a tag team match, Greg the Hammer Valentine. So this was my big match of the night. This was my top one at 3 stars. This match was actually really good. It was much better than the previous match. This match actually had some story. This match was very 80s from the standpoint of, I want you to look at some of the matches you could have had in here if the timelines would have matched up. Greg the Hammer Valentine and Dusty Rhodes in their prime. Imagine that war, the war of the elbows. Hitman Ted DiBiase, imagine that technical feud. And Anvil and Hammer would have also been another great one. Honky Tonk Man and the Hitman was a short feud, but I would have liked to have seen more. And then we have Coco Beware, who quickly gets eliminated.
He was the first person to ever be tombstoned.
Yes, he was. First person ever to get tombstoned. So the order, Coco got tombstoned first, and then the Honky Tonk Man went out, which, by the way, they started out calling him Boxcar, so you know he was doomed from the get-go. And then
I love Boxcar, man.
Yeah, then Anvil got taken out, then Dusty Rhodes got taken out, then Undertaker counted himself out, then the Hammer got eliminated, and the Hitman got pinned by Ted DiBiase, leaving Ted DiBiase the sole survivor. Good match. That's 2. I found 2.
Yeah, I would go with you on this. I went 3 stars. I mean, this was a great match here. Definitely enjoyed it. And now to keep score, Ultimate Warrior on one side, Ted DiBiase on the other. But now we're going to move into my Quack Attack! Because my Quack Attack here is the Visionaries. Rick Martel, the Warlord, Hercules, and Paul Roma with Slick taking on the Vipers. Jake the Snake Roberts, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Marty Jannetty, and Shawn Michaels. And do you know why this is my Quack Attack? Go ahead and say it. Go ahead.
I want to know why.
You want to know why? Because this is the first time in history an entire team survived. You wanted a better team? There's no better team than that, because that was the first team, the whole intact, to survive a Survivor Series match. Not one man got eliminated.
And then we've got the technical brilliance of the Warlord and Herc and Jerk.
Ain't it beautiful? And Paul Roma!
Herc and Jerk, yeah. So to explain this was a very story-centric match. This one wasn't really meant to be a technical classic. It was more meant to push the story of Jake Roberts versus the model Rick Martel, which led some 8 months later to their blindfold match at WrestleMania 7. The less we say about that abortion that we've already reviewed, the better.
You love that match.
No, I don't. This also has another historical standpoint. This was the match that caused Marty Jannetty to want to quit the WWF, that led 4 months later to him getting super kicked and thrown through a glass window on the barbershop. Because he was the first eliminated. He was already causing problems, and he was upset that he was first eliminated. So speaking on that, Marty Jannetty went out first, then Superfly, who was well past his prime at this point. He moves on about 7 months later to be the first victim of The Undertaker in the WrestleMania streak. Then Shawn Michaels took one hellacious kick. Oof. And then he took the Herc and Jerk. And then Jake the Snake Roberts getting pinned, he quit. I think he walked out.
He ran out. He was chasing Martel and got counted out.
He walked out. So that left the team there. This is the one where Jack Doan was out there. You could tell him the blonde hair and the Joe Dirt looking goatee that he's got. This was okay. 2.25 stars for a story building purpose. It was appropriately placed and appropriately done. 2.25
stars for the perfect team here. I give this 3.5. I thought this was phenomenal.
But it wasn't really great. It wasn't thrilling. The crowd didn't really buy this story. They liked the Martel. They liked Jake Roberts. They didn't really care about the rest.
And Roddy Piper sounded decent in this match.
This is the only time he was quiet.
That's what happens, folks. That's what really happens. You're good when you're quiet.
In Roddy Piper's case, yes, quiet is a good thing.
But yeah, there you go. So that was my Quack attack. But now I'm going to move on here. We're going to move on to the Hulkamaniacs. Every team had a team name, by the way. The Hulkamaniacs here. Hulk Hogan, Jim Duggan, the Big Boss Man, and Tugboat taking on the Natural Disasters, Earthquake, Haku, Dino Bravo, and the Barbarian with Jimmy Hart and Bobby Heenan.
Okay, so here's number 3. Joey Morella was the referee inside the ring. So there's number 3 good thing.
Joey Morella did a great job with this match.
Yeah, this match was really an overbooked mess. Overbooked, no emotion. This was a payday match. All of these people are all people Hulk Hogan liked to work with. So that's why this match was put together. Tugboat was shortly on his way out of the WWF so that he could go and fall through a wall and be the Shockmaster.
You're forgetting. Tugboat became Typhoon.
He came back to become.
Well, he did, yeah.
Typhoon.
He was in, out, yeah.
Yeah, he left as Tugboat, went to the WCW to fall through a wall as a Shockmaster and Uncle Elmer, and that all lasted about 2.5 months. He came back and got rid of the striped shirt and became Typhoon, and him and the Natural Disasters went on to be another team that should be considered Hall of Fame worthy for the WWE. Now, this match was basically, Hogan's ego to be stroked. He beats Haku, and then Duggan gets eliminated, and then Bravo gets eliminated. Then the Boss Man gets eliminated, and Tugboat, then Barbarian being the last person taken out. Earthquake and Tugboat eliminated themselves. Sorry, forgot about that.
Yeah.
Leaving Hulk Hogan the sole survivor, and luckily it was short. 6.5 minutes of ear clapping was all we got. Thank God for that.
Yeah, this was a pretty bad match. I'll go 2.5 on it.
I wrote 2.25. The more I talked about it, the more it pissed me off. I'm going to stay at 2.25 only because Joey Morella saved that.
Yeah,
that quarter star.
He really did. It could have been better. So now you have the $1 Million Man and the Visionaries, which was all these people, 5 right there,
yep,
taking on Hogan and the Warrior. That's what it is right now. It was a decent match. I went 2.5. I enjoyed it. I wasn't like, oh my God, over it, but
yeah, it was way too booked. Everything seemed very rushed. This was one of those things of no emotion. It was one of those, okay, what's next spot? Okay, what's next spot? Okay, what's next spot? There was no emotion. There was no passion to this match.
Definitely.
Which happens to be the same thing in our next match.
Yeah, our next match here. Before we get into that, I'm going to talk about the promo cut by Sergeant Slaughter on there.
Yes, that was a good one. A little goofy, but yes, it was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going to come out there and talk about the United States as, Iraqi Sergeant Slaughter over here, you definitely did a great job, and I felt like that was a really strong promo. It pissed people off. It was what it was meant to do. That is how you work as a heel, folks, if you're going to cut a promo. Watch that promo.
Unfortunately, it worked too well. It invented the term lightning heat.
It did.
Bob Remus, a.k.a. the real Sergeant Slaughter, shortly after this promo started getting death threats as people were sending things like how to build bombs to his house. So he had an FBI detail because he drew too much heat.
Yeah, I mean, that whole time frame from when he turned to this point, yeah, it was definitely wild here. But we had the Alliance here. We had Nikolai Volkov, Tito Santana, and Luke and Butch of the Bushwhackers taking on Sergeant Slaughter, the Mercenary, Sergeant Slaughter, Boris Zukov, Sato, and Tanaka.
Yeah,
with General Adnan.
Yes, watching Slaughter's team all come out there in camouflage face paint was great.
It was.
Even watching General Adnan in the face paint, Boris Zukov wearing American camouflage face paint, waving a Russian flag was incredible. I gave this match, I only wanted to give it 1.5 stars. Boris Zukov gained a star for this match. I gave it 1 3/4. This match was very fast. This was kind of what they call an analogy match. It's not a kayfabe word of the day, but an analogy match basically is when they try and tell a story that matches or mimics something going on in real life. Like Sergeant Slaughter, the invasion of Kuwait happened very fast. All the countries that were supporting Saddam Hussein because they wanted oil That was Japan, which was Sato and Tanaka, and the Russians, just because it would rub their face in America, Boris Zukov. And then you've got, coming down there, you got Tito Santana from Mexico, the New Zealand sheep herders, or the bushwhackers, and the Yugoslavian, now American citizen, Nikolai Volkov. So this was all basically just a big storytelling of what Vince McMahon thought was going to happen in Desert Shield, Desert Storm.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I went 2 stars on it. I thought it was a little better than that. I enjoyed the ending. Piper's commentary on this, where he was really excited, I felt fit. Because, when the referee was getting ready to not disqualify Sergeant Slaughter, and Sergeant Slaughter thought he won, raised his hands in the air.
This was the one time, yes. This match needed a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity, a lot of passion. This is the only time Piper's loudness was appropriate. And he didn't say a lot of cutesy little smart-ass, funny ha-ha phrases. He actually was putting over the troops and putting over the story. This one, he actually did a really good job. So I will put this away because, at least for this match, there is no nightmares.
There is no nightmares. But now we're walking into my 2 fingers balloons.
And the nightmares come back.
And the nightmares come back because, yes, we talked about the egg here. What was in the egg? Oh, my God. The Undertaker could have been in the egg.
Was it balloons? Was it confetti? Was it a new wrestler? Was it Playmate of the Month?
Yeah, it was what we were all wondering. Oh, my God.
Instead, we get Hector Guerrero in a turkey outfit.
Oh, come on. You got to love the Gooker. The Gooker is now a 24/7 champion.
Gooker also has a name for our friend R.D. Reynolds and WrestleCrap.com for the worst thing to happen in wrestling for the whole year is called the Gooker Award and named of the Gooker because he's the first winner.
Yes. This was the dumbest thing to have on television, really.
Actually, it was not.
Well, it was up there.
I'm going to say it was not, and I'm going to defend that.
Okay.
Now, everybody remembers Survivor Series 1990 for The Undertaker.
Right.
Vince McMahon in 1990 reported highest gross sales of all time, cash inflated and cash adjusted, by carrying around a papier-mâché egg for 7 months. He has not made more money cash inflated or cash adjusted at any other time in wrestling history than the 7 months between April and November of 1990. So it was important from the standpoint of, look how stupid people are.
You think the egg was the reason for that?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Because it was on Superstars every single week.
It was. And that's... God, now you're bringing me nightmares. Thanks. But yeah, this gets my 2 fingers balloons. This was not a great idea. And Gene Okerlund doing any kind of cartwheels, rolls, anything like that.
Yeah, there's memes all over the internet about Gene Okerlund can't run the ropes. If you actually watch, because I actually paid attention to how he tripped and fell, because he jumped into the ropes and landed on the bottom rope and fell down. And
Hector, not get a 2-finger. This gets a fist. God, get the fist.
And Hector Guerrero, of course, one of the members of the Guerrero family, is actually a pretty talented luchador. The problem is he has all the intensity and all the charisma of the Gobbledygooker. That was the most cheers he's ever gotten, and they weren't very many. Piper trying to put over, the kids love it! No, the kids didn't love it. The kids were clapping along with Turkey in the Straw.
But yeah, let's move on here to the main event.
I can't even give it to
you. You can't even give it to me.
I can't even give it to you.
I can barely do it here. Hulk Hogan, the Ultimate Warrior, and Tito Santana taking on Ted DiBiase and the Visionaries, all in the main event here. All of the final men who survived.
Yep. Now I'm going to tell you, WWF people in the 1990s, because they didn't have a lot to work with, actually were very, very good editors. Ted DiBiase cut a tremendous promo. And then partway through his promo, all of a sudden there's blood in his mouth. And come to find out, he had bit down on his lip and cut and went to that next promo. And then all of a sudden, it was a seamless transition where all of a sudden there's blood in his mouth because he kept on talking where he left off. And it was a great promo, too. For those of you guys out there looking at how to cut a good promo without being loud and putting over the entire story in 45 seconds, there's not too many better than Ted DiBiase.
Exactly right. But yeah, this match here, I loved it for the simple fact that Tito Santana finally got a rub here. I feel like he was getting that rub. There was the talk about him once Hogan and Warrior got done with their titles that eventually he would be world champion. There was conversations on that. Yep. But I love the fact as soon as that bell rang, he hit the Warlord with that flying jalapeno, as Bobby the Brain called it.
Yeah, this was there were several people, once they realized the Warrior wasn't going to work as world champion, there were several people they were looking at as transitional champions. Tito Santana was one because they were getting ready to build El Matador.
Yes.
He didn't work out either, partially because he was getting too old at this point. He retired actually a couple of years later, when he was basically done by this point. But he was one considered, so they gave him a nice little rub, put him in the main event, and Dave Hebner worked this one. Earl Hebner, excuse me.
Yeah.
And Hulk Hogan eliminated, Tito eliminated the Warlord, then Tito got eliminated. Then Hulk Hogan had to eliminate Jerk, a.k.a. Paul Roma, because that's what Gorilla used to call him. It's appropriate because he's a jerk. Then the model just left. He said, I'm out of here.
He rolled out.
And then Hogan eliminates DiBiase. And then, of course, Hogan's pissed because the Warrior's got to get the final win because he's the champion. That Hogan had to come in and pretend to be the referee, so he was involved in the finish when the Warrior pins Hercules to make Hogan and Warrior the last two survivors.
Yeah.
This whole thing, this whole show, this again, I've said it reminded me of bad 1950s wrestling. No finishing moves were used in the entire thing of this. Sergeant Slaughter won 3 of them with a clothesline. Just walked into a clothesline. Well, wait a minute. The flying jalapeno, the flying forearm, the flying burrito was the only finisher. Everything else was just basically a clothesline or a small package. One of them was a body slam. This was basically just, okay, it's time for you to go home. What's the easiest move for you to take? Except for one match, this one had no passion. One and a promo, because Sergeant Slaughter's promo had passion.
It did.
But other than that, this was not good. If you're going to give me a treat and you're going to take it easy on me, next time cut my head off before you kick me in the nuts.
So you didn't like this one?
No.
And you thought this one was bad?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, don't worry, look, because it's about to get probably a little worse, just to let you know. Because right behind you is the end of all the Survivor Series matches and just Survivor Series matches. The start of singles matches. And I know you love this match. Oh, I know you love this match. You love this match? He loves this match. It'll be okay. I'm Dr. Quack.
I'm not looking. I'm not talking. Just get us out of here before I kill myself.
See you next time.